Welcome to ZebraCode.io. We are in Lesson 9, and in Lesson 9 we learned about random functions. We learned about choice, sample, and shuffle, and that allows us to do different various features in regards to the random module. And in this solution, we're going to look at problem 5, write a program that simulates rolling a pair of dice until you get snake eyes, that's both die rolling 1. Display each roll and the final count that it took to get snake eyes. So we're going to roll dice until we get snake eyes, and if we write this code, we're in our integrated development environment on browser-based at Python Anywhere, and the first thing we want to do is to import random. Now, as always, I have two tabs open, one to write the code, and then a bash console to execute that code. So normally we use randint previously to simulate rolling dice, but we can also use one of the new methods we learned in this lesson, and that is choice. So D1, that's going to be dice1, is going to equal random. We're importing the function from the random module .choice, and here we pass choice a parameter which is a list, and it's going to return one of those values randomly selected from that list. So we represent that for D1 and D2, and that represents our two dice. And so we're going to get two dice, and they're both going to be somewhere between 1 and 6. So then we have to have our loop, because our loop is going to iterate through this until we get snake eyes. So we can start that loop is while true, and while true means we're guaranteed to enter this loop, and at some point we're going to want to break out. So I'm going to indent these two dice that we're going to roll representing D1 and D2. So the next thing to do is when do we want to break out of this loop? We want to continue to roll all the time, but if D1 is equivalent to 1 and if D2 is equivalent to 1, that means both dice were rolled a 1, then we can break out of the loop. So that's going to be how we will exit the loop, because we will always enter the loop because while true is always true. So we need to have a count, and I'll initialize count to equal to 0, and then each time we roll the dice, we'll increment count as well. So count is going to be assigned the value of count plus 1. So each time we iterate through this loop, we're going to iterate count. Now, finally, at the point we break out is when we will exit the loop, and that's when D1 is equal to 1 and D2 is equal to 1. At the very end, we can print the total count is, and we're concatenate that with the string value of the variable count. And once we concatenate that, we'll have the list. And the only thing we need to do next is to print each dice as we are rolling it. So we can print D1 and D2. And we'll do that by, we'll print D1 and we'll concatenate it with D2. Let's go ahead and put a space in between the two, and let's convert them to strings, because they are going to be integers. D1 and D2 are going to be integers, which will be the return value from the choice function. So we can convert those to strings, concatenate them together, put a space in between them, and this will allow us to show each roll as we roll it, and then at the very end we can show a final count. So let's go ahead and save this, and then let's open up our second tab. And when we open up our second tab, we can execute this code, and let's go ahead and do Python 3. Because we're at Python Anywhere, that has both Python 2 and Python 3, so we have to explicitly say Python 3. And I get an error, and it shows the line number where the error is, and also we can see this red X that the error is in line number 9. I can correct that to properly spell and notice I get another error here, and if we look at the code, we can see that I'm missing an end parentheses here. So if I add that in and save it, hopefully that corrects all of the errors. So let's go ahead and save that and execute the code again, and we're executing problem 5, and we get the total count is 105, and you can see this last count here was 1. So that took a lot of rolls. Let's do it again. Second time we rolled, we got it took 7 rolls to get it, and let's do it again, and this time it took 16 rolls. So if you think about on average, it's going to be 1 out of 6 chances each, so that's 6 times 6, 36, 1 out of 36 times to do it, and so it's taken a 16 as low as 8, or as low as 7, and as high as 105, and that kind of makes sense, and we can do some further tests to see if we are simulating rolling dice correctly. So that's ZebraCode.io. We're reviewing problem 5 in lesson 9, and we're looking at random functions such as choice, sample, and shuffle. Go ahead and look at the other homework problems and continue to work with these different random functions.